Hi, Joe Cerrone.
And Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 116, Basic AutoCAD, in our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Al, would you like to explain the splash page?
Certainly. Today we're going to be going over views of tools and plotting, object snaps, and tracking. We have chapters 6 and 7 we're going over on the book. It's AutoCAD for applications, module 4 drawing exercises. And you also have to submit your assignments and also mod 4 quiz sometime in the future. We also have a chapter 4 video for us, so that explains a lot of what we need to go over today. If you left click on it, please.
As our videos are in purple, so Al, you've got it color coded.
And this goes over basically the stuff, what to do to spline, everything else. We have a book that goes over with it a little bit, goes into it, and etc. like that.
And what we try to do is we try to introduce a command or two every week as we go through, and here we can show how you can work with grips.
Make a nice bell curve on it.
Right. So there's a lot of uses for AutoCAD other than just engineering drawing. In this lecture, we'll go through and explain that information to you. And then we'll go into some of the polyline, how to create polylines. And polylines are a building block as we look at three-dimensional work. And so we calculate out the areas. And then we go into some object snap commands,
which are really cool.
All right. So I'm going to pause this YouTube and we'll continue our lecture back to the main splash page. So that's our video for Lab 4.
Right below it, we have the objects for today's objects.
So our objectives using these commands like circle, arc, ellipse, polyline, polygon, rectangle, donut, spline. And as we look at working with drawing commands, things like circles and arcs are just regular draw commands. But when we look at closed shapes, that's what a polyline is. And so if we look at our CAD system, these are called polylines. If I right click on it and do a quick properties, we can see that it's a polyline. And what a polyline is it's an enclosed shape. If we explode a polyline, it returns it to its original lines. And that would then be, each line segment would be treated individually.
That is correct.
And then here's our video. I think this is the same one, is it not, Al?
Yes, it is.
And then what's the second one? Another video for chapter 4?
Yeah, from the book.
And then we have our polyline tutorial. And so the polyline tutorial, polyline is our general design assignment. And so as we look at this general design assignment, what that is going to do is it's going to show you how to work with polylines. And so it looks like I've got a commercial here. Yeah, we're getting popular. I think maybe we'll get a sponsor eventually.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
And so what we do is we show you what we're going to do for this assignment is you're going to download a template file and it's complete. What we want you to do is to recreate the images using polylines. And so that's what this exercise will show you how to do. And so as we look through it, let me make that so that you don't see all my music history. We go through and we show how to create those polylines and then how to calculate out the area of those polylines. All right.
What's good about making a calculation of the area? What would it help us anyways?
The area calculations are great, you know, especially when we get into things like floor plans and architectural drawings, because we can use them to cost estimate things like carpet and other things like that. We also use them in 3D printing. And so when we look at our job here of working with, our assignment here, working with these polylines, I'm going to go over into model space here. And so here's the exercise. I'm going to turn off the grid. And what I've done is I've just kind of duplicated them. And so I'm just going to erase some of these duplicates. My computer is a bit wonky these days. And then the idea is when we turn on the grid and the snap, and I like to turn on the grid and the snap from the pull down menu bar under drafting settings, where we have snap and grid enabled. And then I'm going to say okay. And then what we'll do is on the home tab, we're going to create a polyline. So I'm going to switch over to the home tab, and here's the polyline command. And essentially, when we work with polylines, all we're doing for this exercise is we're just creating these shapes. It looks like the line weight's a little bit light, does it not, Al? And we'll just...
A little bit, yes.
We'll say C for close. So if the line weights are light like that, that's probably because I've got them on a layer that doesn't have line weights. And so I'm going to go and switch those over to layer object. And then if I check my layer object under layer properties, I'm going to add a line weight to that of 0.5 millimeters. This is just an older drawing, so it wasn't showing it. And there we can see a nicer image of it. And so if we want to calculate out the area of that, we can go under our utilities. And here it is. And we can select area. And then we can hit the down arrow and we can say object. And we can just click on our polyline object and it will calculate that out. And so it has an area of 1.25. And then we can take that information. And if we hit the F2 key, sometimes what I'll do is I'll just copy it and paste it into the drawing. So I'll Control C, and then I'll come back to my drawing, Control V, and then I'll place that information under the drawing. And you'll do the same for these other objects as well, where you can calculate out the area with the area command, down arrow, object, select the object, and then it calculates that out. You can hit enter, F2 key, and then I can go and I can select that information, Control C, and then I can come up here and paste it, Control V. And I think in the video, I put these above, and so we can just copy this one here. And so your job is to create these different objects with polylines. There's a video for it. And we'll also look at some other applications like working with the sketch command. And the sketch command is really good for doing things like these topology drawings of the lake. If I delete that out, and then if I go to my object layer, and I'm just going to override the color, something orange. And then if I use the sketch command, SKETCH, what I can do is I can set up the increment, and I'm going to set the increment at 0.05, a very small amount. And then as I click the mouse and move it, it will start to create that geometry. Now I have the snap on, and so what's happening is it's going to be very blocky looking as I create this because I'm snapping to it. But once I have it completed, I can hit the enter key and I can create that. And it would be much smoother if I came over here and turned off the snap. And then if I repeated that same process with the sketch command, SKETCH. And they used to trace over a lot of your topology maps. Let's just make a little island here. And so the sketch command is a big part of that. Other things we can do with polylines is they're great for 3D. If I were to take an isometric view, and then I was going to work with this drawing and I wanted to work with some modeling, I can switch over my workspace over to 3D modeling. And I can use a command like extrude. And I can select the geometry, hit enter, and then I can extrude that. If I turn on a visual style, you can see that. Shift middle mouse wheel allows me to orbit it. And there's a number of things that we can do once we learn how to do some of these modeling things. I can create a curve over here, and then I can 3D rotate that curve. Rotate it about this axis so that it goes up. And let's see if I can get it to 90. sometimes it can be a little tricky. Al's got some good tricks for straightening things out. I think you have a tendency to use the ortho command on it, but let's go and turn that on, ortho, and then we can 3D rotate that again. There we go. And then if I wanted to, I could move this over to my part. And then it doesn't have to be on the part. I can extrude it along a path. So I can select the object to extrude, and then I can down arrow it. I can say extrude, down arrow, and we'll select the object, hit enter, and then I can go down to say path, and it walked out on me. Let's try it one more time. And then I'm going to choose path from here, and I'll say select it. I think there's a problem with my path, and so I'm not going to be able to extrude it along that path, probably because it has some self-intersecting boundaries. But again, you know, we can 3D print these, and we can create all kinds of very useful tools as we go through and we work with three-dimensional objects and polylines. And so that's one of the objectives that we have here. All right, back to the main splash page. So here's our Polyline tutorial. We also have an O-snap exercise, and object snaps are used to be able to get better with our precision. And so we can draw lines from the center of the arc, perpendicular, tangent, midpoint, endpoint, tangent, quadrant, intersection. And so this is just a good exercise to teach you how to use object snaps. And we have a video for that as well. And then your assignment is to create the general design assignment, and then either this mechanical exercise or the architectural exercise. I've got the mechanical exercise shown here. And so this is our Mech 4 drawing. You're to draw the object and dimension it. The 3D is bonus. All right. With that, I'm going to turn it back to you, Al. Is there anything else that we want to talk about?
I don't think so. All we have to do is making sure that you turn in assignments, go through and put in for your quizzes. Best out of 4, so you get a real good chance of getting the best grade out of it. You can use your book, quiz, online, however you want to do it.
Terrific. And with that, then I'm going to end the Zoom meeting. Remember, you can always check the outline of topics for where we're at and how we're following the course. All right, with that, I'm going to stop the recording, and then we'll open things up for questions.